What's up, everyone? Coach D speaks here. So I'm sure everyone knows about Donald Trump being investigated for the classified documents found at his home in Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure you've seen his statements about it, and I'm sure you've heard him speak about the differences between his investigation and Joe Biden's investigation. Well, recently, Marjorie Taylor Greene was asked about the imminent indictments of Donald Trump for these classified documents found at his home in Mar-a-Lago. Here's what she had to say.
Indictment, documents case, DOJ. Trump himself seems to be making it seem like that's imminent. I want to know if you had any thoughts.
He's giving us the same.
Another potential Trump indictment.
I just wonder when they're going to investigate Joe Biden and indict Joe Biden for his classified documents.
One of the most desperate moves by conservatives is either deflection or whataboutism. She didn't say Donald Trump shouldn't be indicted as he has done nothing wrong. She instead went to, well, what about Joe Biden? When is he going to be investigated for his classified documents? Which, let me tell you, Joe Biden is being investigated for that. He has been investigated for it since he pointed out that he had classified documents. That's the difference between his case and Donald Trump's case. Then she says, when is he going to be indicted? He's not going to be indicted because he has 100% cooperated with the entire investigation. But let her go on, because she goes on to blatant racism and more deflection.
Because he has more classified documents laying around everywhere, from garage floors to Chinatown right here in Washington, D.C. But yet the Department of Justice, or maybe Department of Injustice, isn't conducting the same investigation or concern with Joe Biden.
She is basically a lemming or surrogate for Donald Trump at this point, because she is regurgitating all of his talking points. She called it the Department of Injustice, as if we've never heard Donald Trump say things like that before. Remember when he called the January 6th Select Committee the Unselect Committee? I mean, he does it all the time. Then she says Joe Biden has classified documents on garage floors and in Chinatown here in Washington, D.C. Make no mistake about it. When Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump say that Joe Biden has classified documents in Chinatown, they're evoking the word China because they, one, want their supporters to think that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are walking around Chinatown handing out classified documents. And two, they're being racist towards people from China. In one case, they tried to draw a relationship between one of Joe Biden's staffers, Katie Chung, and China. They assumed she was from China because of her last name, but she's from South Korea. Make no mistake about it. They know exactly what they are doing, and it's racism. They also leave out the fact that the documents are in an office that has been historically called Chinatown, but is no longer predominantly Chinese. But you see, that wouldn't get their base excited, so of course they leave that part out. But then she goes on with more whataboutisms and misinformation.
And Joe Biden, look at him. He's been a senator, he's been a vice president, and now he's president. I think there should be the same treatment across the board. But as far as Trump's concerned, indictment after indictment after indictment is exactly how the Democrats abuse power here, and they do that to sway elections. They want to smear him constantly in the headlines so they can change public opinion and try to affect presidential elections, and we're not going to tolerate it. There's going to be a big fight to come with Republicans in the House and the Department of Justice, the FBI, and all these people that continue to weaponize these agencies and abuse their power just to keep going after President Trump.
It's crazy how she says indictment after indictment after indictment. It's the way that the Democrats, try and smear Donald Trump. No. Have you ever thought for a second that maybe the guy you are backing is actually a freaking criminal? I mean, a 100% crook. I mean, but of course she knows that. And then she says, we're going to have a big fight, in the House. You've already tried to impeach Joe Biden multiple times. You've done it so much more now. You've done it so many times now, you can't even get a co-sponsor. You are literally the only person yelling out, impeach Joe Biden. You've had other Republicans admit you have no evidence or no grounds to impeach him. And then she talks about all these agencies being weaponized against Donald Trump. I love when she says these things about Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray, as I have said many times, was appointed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump couldn't stop speaking in his graces and talking about how great Christopher Wray was going to be for Republicans and conservatives. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, she won't even mention that Christopher Wray is a Republican. Why would Christopher Wray, a person who got his job from Donald Trump, be weaponized against Donald Trump? Maybe he's just a crook. Maybe he's just a criminal. Maybe he's been a criminal all his life. Like he has been. We've known this. You go back to when he was, a slumlord and had all these dealings with China and now with Saudi Arabia. I mean, the guy is a crook. And you are literally the band that played until the Titanic went down. That's what you are, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you were going straight down with him. Period.
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.